Okay, sorry about that, guys. This is not a very professional setup that I run here. It's just obviously, it's a show for Facebook, but I do my best. Maybe it's not sometimes good enough. But right, so back to the interview with yourself, Winston. There's obviously a series of topics, but the thing with Sadiq Khan, is that it's a case of he does nothing pretty much. He just sits there and turns up when he wants to turn up with a smug look on his face. And quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't care at all, But, there's things, I mean, in his leadership, if you like, in his office, he's brought up these emission zones. And, where you've got to pay for parking. And this is happening on a weekend also. What do you think of these emission zones, and are you going to combat this problem that he's created if you get in?
Well, the simple fact is, Michael, um, these guys are very short on ideas, and they're short on ideas because they've got no means of communication. I've spoke to many universities, engineers, businessmen, and it's the people living on the outside that Westminster bubble, who really know what's needed. They're the people. The life we live is completely different from theirs. The likes of Khan and lots of other Westminster politicians live in a bubble. They're, and I'm not here to be demeaning of other people. They live in a bubble, and it's evident to see. We can all see what's happening because they are so uninformed, and their actions that they have taken have been detrimental, to say the least, on our way of living. I believe that in terms of the emission zones, and pollution, and what they're going to charge us, um, they really need to think again. My idea is I'm going to have thick green hedges running alongside the main polluted areas of London. I've already inquired of it. I already have the experts. You put thick green hedges drilled into the roads to keep them down, and they take the emissions. So the emissions the cars give out will be taken in by these thick green hedges, and they'll be alongside all the main motorways, and in some cases, uh, in a city. Uh, every time there is a problem, it's the drivers who are penalised. But we must remember there are untold people, thousands of people dying on a yearly basis through lack of oxygen and pollution. So we have to address that problem with making London green. And many politicians have said it before, and they do it they say it for the sake of saying it. They give you all these amazing political quips, what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. I'm a different politician. I'm not your average politician from Oxford, Cambridge, University, whatever. I come from a different walk of life, and I mean business. I mean business. And the only way to bring down pollution is to make London green, and you get these hedges drilled into the road. I've got all sorts of other plans. People need to follow my mayoral website. Stuff will be going on up over the next few weeks, as they are now. There's plenty on there to get on with, but I'll be putting up and revealing so much more of my plans to abate pollution. It is a major catastrophe. It is a major catastrophe. Um, yes, electric cars seem to be prevailing, but at the cost of how many lives in Africa? Young children, infants dying in the mud pits of the Congo, just digging for the cobalt, the metal cobalt, which of course is what will run our electric cars. So there is so much to take into consideration. But if we as a nation, if London can lift itself up, help itself, and be innovative, get out, from your office, get around, talk to people. So much more can be achieved. Pollution, as I say, is very much at the forefront of my policy, and you know, I'm going to prove, I will prove that with the ambition, and that's what's lacking today, the ambition, I will prove with the ambition. If you put a mayor in with the ambition to make change, things will happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, policing, for example. I didn't really follow it too much. Obviously, wherever you was, you couldn't but get away from it because it was everywhere on Facebook, on social media, on the news, everywhere. But obviously the rioting in London that was obviously spawned from the trouble in America, and you know, the police. How do you overcome this problem in future? Because yet again, you watching this, Mr. Khan, you ain't done nothing. You know, pull your finger out, mate, because we need something done. Now, you ain't gonna do it, just step down, because this man here is an ex-boxer, and as he just said, he means business, and he's here to, change the old game, if you could say. So, what are your thoughts on that, Winston? How do you go about improving, manpower, improving the police force? I myself, to cut costs of manpower, would take a water cannon down there and call them off. Anybody, and just eradicate the problem that way, because I think that's more effective than necessarily using. Do you send in the army? Do you send in the police? What have you sort of got an infrastructure that you would like to employ in case this arises again?
Well, because they've been so lackluster, and the police, chief of police, Cressida Dick, has been waiting for the mayor to blink, and the mayor has been waiting for her to blink, and equally, they've been waiting for government to blink. One's been waiting on each other. The police are in a very unfortunate position because under Theresa May's government, so many police were laid off. They're being asked to do a job with their hands tied behind their backs. They've been asked to police London without any funding. Their funding has been cut so drastically. I'm surprised that they're running a police force. Now, you've got officers on the road who are not really trained for combat or these big riots. They haven't got the skills, they haven't got the facilities. It's really tough. And I personally would not like to be chief of police at this very moment. I would not like to be. And continuously, Cressida Dick's officers constantly let the woman down. And it's a sight for sore eyes. They need to sort themselves out. And they can't do that without the funding. Because very soon, you're going to hear the mayor, and he's already done it, they've already cut the police numbers yet again, and then they wonder why crime is going through the roof. They've given 1.4, 1.5 billion to the arts. Okay, fine, all well and good. What about our safety? What about our safety? Where is the funding for our metropolitan police? Now, I'm not a great fan of the Met, but we can't live with them. Neither can we live without them. So give them some funding so they can police us. If you don't fund them, then we're going to have to see army peacekeeping forces on the streets, because once lockdown is complete, all hell would break loose again. So I'm telling you, Prime Minister, if you're listening, take your hand out of your blonde tussles and look at the serious situation we are facing here in London. We've currently got untold illegals coming in on a daily basis, being brought in on the French drag boats, ferries. The French are ferrying them straight onto our land. We don't know who's carrying COVID. We don't know how many are coming in, who they are. Terrorists will run riot in London very soon unless the Prime Minister of this country makes contingency plans to bring forth unarmed army peacekeeping forces in every borough of London, and he better do it now.
Okay, just I mean, the way it sounds is like he seems to not be clamping down on obviously terror attacks. He's done nothing. Mr. Khan hasn't done that. Just getting back to Mr. Khan,
No.
but I would like to say something that this probably will become get the attention of Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, because Priti Patel, who is the Home Secretary now, she had a local constituency. She had her office, what they call it, surgery in Whittam, which isn't far from where I live. And I can't say too much on camera right now because there's something ongoing with myself. But I have been in touch with Priti Patel about something, and it's irrelevant to what we're talking about. But she is on Facebook, and I will be sharing this interview, Winston, if you don't mind, on her Facebook profile and to her via message. And because I've been phoning her office in Westminster, because obviously I've had to remain with her, in touch with her about certain things. Well, I can't divulge too much about now, but she will be seeing this, and I urge you, Priti Patel, that I want you to show this to Boris Johnson. Now we know that Boris Johnson, it was in the news recently that he wants Sadiq Khan to resign as London Mayor. And Boris, he seems I don't know, he seems an okay chap to me. I don't know a lot about politics, and I don't profess to know a lot about politics. But Priti Patel, this is a message for Boris Johnson. Get him, please, to listen to this interview. Get the Prime Minister to listen to what Winston Mackenzie is saying. Winston's saying here, the man is speaking nothing but common sense, and you want Khan gone, I want Khan gone. We all want Khan gone. So listen to what we're doing, and let's help Winston get the vote. Let's help Winston become the Mayor of London. So, back to the interview, Winston, we're talking about, housing. Let's go on to this one quickly. How about those
Can
around?
I just say something?
Of course you can.
Can I just say one thing with regard to the policing in London?
Yeah.
Just let me say one thing.
Yes.
They constantly keep on about the 20,000 police officers we're going to have over 3 years. I'm sick of it. They're acting as though we are stupid. That civilians of London are stupid. They need to take a sabbatical, give the police a sabbatical, where they can have proper training and recruitment within 1 year. And during that time, they need to, with immediate effect, bring on army peacekeeping forces to help the army. I'm not saying get rid of all of our police. We need the police and the army working together as they have done for COVID. You've noticed they've helped out immensely for COVID, in this pandemic. So we need to bring the army in, have them work alongside the police, unarmed soldiers, just work alongside the police. And the police need to galvanise themselves and get a good number of youngsters out there having proper training, and gradually deplete the number of army people that have come in. If they don't do that, London is going to be a hotbed, an even worse hotbed for crime.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that what with the lack of action that Khan has done nothing. It's like he wants to sort of like go to. It's almost like he's promoting a lawless society. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it keeps passing the blame.
Yeah.
It keeps passing the blame to government all the time, when what he should be doing is thinking up new money, new initiatives, new alternatives to get Londoners going.
Hmm. I mean, he simply just
I can
doesn't.
do that.
Yeah, he just simply doesn't seem to care, and that's. But which is terrible, you know. But you know, talking about, let's get on to housing and obviously the homeless on the streets. I mean, how do you? How are you gonna look at sort of like combating yet another problem with the homeless on the
Well,
streets of
I've got
London?
I've got two fantastic, well-renowned companies on board who build expert. They're expert at building homes panelled, like prefabs, prefab style, and they don't look like prefabs.
Yeah.
They look like normal houses, really well equipped. And I can't understand, I can't for the life of me understand why the mayor hasn't indulged in getting these sort of prefab-like places built to house people. This should have been going on since day one, since he got in and and he took office. It hasn't. These companies are really skilled at what they do. They've got awards for doing the same projects in Scotland and throughout Ireland. And I believe that, you know, I've already spoken with one of the companies who are really keen to get on board. And I believe that this is the way forward with regards to housing. And we also need to collar all the multimillionaires who have roads and roads of properties all over, empty properties all over London, which are just sitting there empty, and these people are abroad, they don't use these properties, so either I will be looking to put their rates up, I'll be looking to put their rates up if the house or the property is vacant for more than a year. I'll be looking to put their rates up so that they'll either rent those places out or they'll sell them. So we can, you know, buy them and turn them into housing for people. There is so much that can be done, Michael. There are so many options. You know, we're also running out of space. We have to take that also into consideration. Yeah. But there are lots of alternatives, and many structural engineers and estate agents around with so many great ideas themselves. As I told you, it's the people living it that understand and know what's needed, not the politicians. The politicians are there to take the people's instructions. They are the ones living a totally different life from the politicians.
Yeah, that's right, exactly, because it doesn't affect them, so obviously they just brush it under the carpet conveniently. You know,
Right.
Schools, unemployment, you know, in the capital. I mean, what would you like to, I mean, we spoke earlier about, you know, possibly reintroducing boxing into schools. You know, is this something
Well,
that you...
yes, we can introduce boxing, but we've got to look at poverty amongst the young people these days,
Yeah.
you know, and unemployment. You know, we really have to. In terms of unemployment, you know, we've got to look at jobs and, as you say, and apprenticeships, and youth work experience. I mean, okay, all what the Chancellor's just recently introduced is a scheme for youngsters to get involved in, and it takes them off the dole for 6 months. Okay, so that brings the unemployment down by so many hundreds of thousands, if you like, or 500,000 or so. But it's just a sticking plaster. What we need is a mayor who will engage, Michael, engage with the employers. There is, you know, you've got to realise that we are going through a recession now. There are big companies out there, especially like Amazon, people like that, who have the means to put the funding back into communities, you know, without constantly draining the community. They hardly pay any taxes, you know. They need, you know, you need a face-off with them. You need a face-off with these people. You need them to fund initiatives, job schemes for the youngsters. What we need, Michael, is new money. We need new money. And I'm talking to business leaders right now. You know, an amazing scheme that will help and encourage them. You know, they need encouraging to fund London, and it's that new money, Michael, the new money that I'm really expert with. I'm an expert with that, and I won't be sitting around waiting for government to fund me. I will not. Big business will fund me, and that's what it's all about. They're not reluctant. You know, they're not interested in holding on to their billions. But if they can get the kudos, then they'll come forward with the money that we need, fund our youth, fund our communities, especially get people into work. I want to introduce made in Britain again. I don't want things made in China. I want us to get used to made in Britain again. You know, I want to see even some of the old factories opened up again. We've got many ways on how to control pollution and minimize that type of thing. So let's get things made in Britain again. The Made in Britain drive that I'm pushing now will bring back employment to the young and the old. It will bring back employment, and this is what we need. We need to get people moving, get their brains working, give them a raison d'etre, give them a reason for being, a reason to get up in the morning, get them a routine. Without routine, people become restless and lazy. So I'm going to really motivate people, mate. And that's what a mayor should be doing. Motivation, mate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I mean, you know, something else, obviously, you know, old age pensioners in London. Is there something that, you know, is there any thoughts on that?
Oh, big time. You know, there is so much they can do. And if you've got as I said, if you've got the ambition to get things going, there are many social clubs. What I plan to do is bring a lot of the social clubs together under one roof. You know, they are the experts. They're living it now. They've got all the ideas, and I believe that if you can get some of those social clubs on the verge of shutting down, things like that. You know, people say, where will you get the money for all this? Big business. And it also depends what my priorities are. My priorities will be the people. It will be the people.
Absolutely.
What London wants, London gets.
Yeah.
I want to see peace, harmony, and all this trouble you've got in Tower Hamlets now, where, you know, Indians, Asians, Muslims, all these people have just been cast aside. Well, we can't get rid of them, so let's entertain them. Let's give them a bit of education. Let's get it to a stage where we educate them about English law. Let's get to a stage where we educate them about English culture. Let's educate them so they have a reason in life, an understanding of British culture, because believe it or not, so many people do not understand their rights. They can't read, they can't spell, there's a breakdown in communication, and they're just pushed to the side. Nobody cares, and they just descend, they ascend into crime.
Yeah, because it's like...
Let's make some communication, let's communicate with these people.
Yeah, it sounds like a build-up for us on...
Let's call on Priti Patel to show up our borders, because all the time you're working hard inland trying to make things better. What's the point when you've got untold numbers of illegals coming into London every day?
Yeah, it's very true. And I believe a lot of that sort of builds up, obviously if they're pushed to the side, you know, it builds up a lot of frustration in them, and this is obviously where trouble starts, obviously. You know...
That's right, and where's Christianity gone?
Yeah.
Where's Christianity gone? We're a predominantly Christian country, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, we're giving people the authority to create Sharia law and things like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's all draconian. We have to get the ball rolling and show the rest of the world that London is the epicenter, is the final financial epicenter of the world. We mean business. Do not come to London and mess with us. We've got the army on the streets. We're ready for you.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, a thing like terror attacks. I mean, obviously, I don't think did Khan do a lot with the terror attacks. I don't know. I mean, I know obviously there's a shoot to kill policy, and I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Winston?
No, you see, we don't want to get into this draconian stuff of shoot to kill. The last time we had the shoot to kill, look what happened at Stockwell Tube Station. The young man was shot mercilessly. Was killed. It wasn't just one bullet. It's pumped full of bullets. We don't really want to go down that aisle, that avenue. What we need is unarmed peacekeeping army forces on the street. That very influence of the army on the streets helping the police. And remember what I said, Michael, unarmed. We don't want armed soldiers on the streets. We want unarmed peacekeeping army forces, Michael.
Okay.
Right? To help track the terrorists.
Yeah.
We've got terrorists in this country
that
need tracking down. Just look at what happened to London Bridge.
This is what
and then outside Westminster.
Yeah. This is what I'm gonna get.
And Streatham.
Yeah.
Streatham High School.
This is what I'm getting onto. If you've got a guy who's tragically, terribly, he's killed some people, what do you do with this guy? Do you believe in that shoot to kill policy? I know you mentioned about draconian laws, but how do you combat this, or do you just believe in him being sent to jail?
Say that again, please.
You mentioned about you want a safe sort of like attitude from the army and the police, but say you've got one of these guys, a maniacal murderer who wants to go around stabbing people. Look at the Lee Rigby scenario, for example. I mean, they were disgusting, vile people. These guys who killed Lee Rigby. One of a guy who was in the army. And the London Bridge terror attacks last year. This is all in recent memory. How do you combat these people? Do you not believe in a shoot to kill policy? Do you not believe in an eye? I mean, you talk about Christianity. Do you not believe in an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth?
If you've got an armed criminal on the street, if you've got an armed criminal on the street, you have to shoot to kill. But you can't just put out a message, shoot to kill. If you've got an unruly citizen, but if you distinctly have an armed criminal, an armed terrorist on the street, then obviously you have to deploy the police, with their artillery. What I'm saying is, if you get a terrorist, someone who's maimed and killed a British citizen, they must do their time here, and then they are deported.
That's all that. That tougher obviously immigration laws, obviously, but that's what I'm trying to get at. You've got a guy. These terrorists, they're not there to just arm people. They're there to kill people. They don't care about maiming people. But they're there to kill. This has got to be stopped. This is what I'm asking. What do you intend to put into that, to put into place to stop this? To stop, say a guy goes out and kills 4 or 5 people, maybe 10 people, God knows. What are you going to do with this individual?
You can't. No, but you can't stop. If people have a mindset to kill people, Michael, you can't stop them. But what we can do, we can abate those terrorist acts by shoring up our border, stopping illegal immigrants from coming into the country. I hate that word immigrant because I am one myself. But I tell you, even as we speak now, Michael, even as we speak, look, this infiltration of our country, the infiltration of London by illegals being drafted in by France remember what I said, Michael. The French government
Yeah.
are ferrying illegals into our land, saying it's your problem, you deal with it, and we have no jurisdiction over that. And this is where the likes of Priti Patel hasn't got the power for whatever reason. You know, it's not that, oh well, you know, she's doing a bad job. The simple fact is that the government are failing us by not putting a halt to the illegals coming in on a daily basis, Michael.
Yeah.
Interrupts any plans we have for peace in this country.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where our problem lies.
Is there anything else you would like to add, or anything you would like me to ask you, question-wise?
Well, I just I want to give London hope. I want us to once again be, you know, mindful. I want the institutions of this country to wake up to what's just happened. You know, what happened in America has transcended to our shores.
Yeah.
I want to see the racism put aside.
Yeah.
I want to see a man judged by the content of his nature.
Yeah.
And not the colour of his skin.
Absolutely. And this is where racism is only endorsed by the narrow-minded individual, whatever colour he is, you know. But can I just say something?
Yeah.
Going back to talking about Adrian Elliott, talking about Jumbo Bassi, another good fighter, Fairbairn House, you know, Winston May, all these guys. We had an opening this year in January. Now, we've seen, the guys who watch this have seen the film of that opening. And we was all there under one roof. The new gym in East London for Fairbairn House. And, you know, there was black people, there was white people, there was, I think, Turkish people, Pakistani people, whatever. And we was all under one roof. And boxing unites. And this is obviously something you're aiming to do, is to get boxing in the schools, in your youth centres. Because Jumbo Bassi, I interviewed him some time back, and he said, you know what, he said, a lot of these youth centres are being closed down. There's nothing happening for the youth. They can't go nowhere. You know.
Well, Michael,
yeah.
I'm telling you, you know, if you know, all you boxers listening out there, all you promoters listening out there, if you want to see boxing, a revival of boxing in this country, make me mayor. Because I will do everything in my power to promote boxing and get these youths off the streets. We need a boxing entrepreneur, a boxing radical, and it's that type of sport, boxing, that will save this earth. It will save our youngsters.
Absolutely. And
so,
and
know,
it does.
Go out there and join unityinaction.co.uk.
unityinaction.co.uk, and I'm going to put that under this show so they can, you know, they can go onto that and learn more about that. But you know, as I say, boxing unifies. It unites people of race, religion, creed, colour. It unites them. That night, I mean, I'm you know, I got friends who are black and you know, whatever their colour, and you know, but it unites. I felt there was a lot of unity there, you know, and then you go from that scenario, that January evening, the 20th of January that was, to be precise, and that lovely sort of like unity there, that love, that close-knit sort of like feeling. We was all a family, you know, irrespective of our colour, creed, whatever. And then you jump from that to, when was it, May, June, last month, when we've got all these people fighting each other, you know, and it's they're dragging up the black-white scenario. In 1910, sorry to go all historic on you here, but in 1910 we had James J. Jeffries taking on Jack Johnson. White America wanted him to wipe the golden grin off of Johnson's face. I'm a massive Jack Johnson fan, I'll tell you that now. But that was a race riots caused all over America, and we haven't progressed any further. 1982, you had Holmes versus Cooney. You know, you just boxed that month, your last pro fight against George Schofield. But I'm just saying, sometime later, Holmes Cooney. That was another black-white thing. And you know, that was
Yeah.
38 years ago nearly. Well, it's 38 years ago. And now we're still stuck in the same rut. The same